This video covers the IGCSE Biology Objective 9.2.7 on the 2025 CAIE syllabus to identify valves in the mammalian heart. So here we have what looks like to be a very good animation of the one-way valves that are in the heart. So remember there, we've seen that there are 4 valves in the heart, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. And basically what valves do is they keep blood moving in the right direction and they prevent what's called backflow. So if you look at this animation, we can see clearly the right side of the heart. We can see the valve that is between the atrium and the ventricle on the right side of the heart. And we can also see the valve that is leading out of that same ventricle to the pulmonary artery. So if you look at those 2 valves as they open and close, you can see that when one is open, the other is closed. And that's important because that is what is going to prevent backflow, because you don't want blood from the ventricle when the ventricle is contracting to go back into the atrium. You want it to go out the pulmonary artery. That's the whole point. So you want to make sure the blood is flowing in the right direction and that it's not flowing backwards. And that is what these valves do. Okay, so let's just take a look at these valves and their names and where they're located. So the first valve that we want to look at is the valve that is located between the right atrium and the right ventricle. This is called the atrioventricular valve because it's between the atrium and the ventricle, or it also can be called the tricuspid valve. It's called that because it has 3 sections to that valve that open when the atrium contracts. So the atrium will contract and blood will flow out of the atrium through the valve into the right ventricle. So that's the right atrioventricular valve, sometimes abbreviated to AV valve. Also, you can label this tricuspid valve. Okay, following that valve, if we're looking at blood flow through the heart, blood would then move from the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. This valve is known as the semilunar valve or the pulmonary valve. So this would be the right semilunar valve or the pulmonary valve, obviously because it's leading to the pulmonary artery. Then we have another semilunar valve, which is leading from the ventricle to the aorta, sometimes called the aortic valve, and this would be our left semilunar valve. And finally, we have the left atrioventricular valve, which is going to allow blood flow from the left atrium to the left ventricle. This also is known as the bicuspid valve because it has 2 sections to it, or the mitral valve. So as you can see, these valves have quite a few names that you can use. You use what you feel comfortable with as long as you are labeling the valve correctly.